Am I the asshole for telling my dad he's not entitled to a relationship with me? When I, 27 female, was around 10 my parents divorced. It was a messy thing, no one ever told me the reason and I do not really care. My mom won custody because she was able to prove in court that my father was an unfit parent. My father never took it well and it showed whenever I had visitation at his house, 2 weekends a month. Instead of spending time with me he would spend hours playing video games, order takeout, and the only time he would ever take me somewhere was when my grandma forced him. Needless to say, I never had a very close relationship with him. Then once I got older he started to bring up a college fund he had set aside for me, and he always said that if my grades stayed up and I do well in school the money would be mine, and I did just that. I got good grades, was part of many clubs in school and never got into trouble. I was basically the kid your parents brought up when they were comparing you to your friends. In my senior year my dad got married to his current wife. It was a beautiful and extravagant ceremony. I'm pretty sure some of the arrangements were more expensive than my phone, but whatever, I didn't think much of it. It wasn't until I went to talk to my dad about my college fund that I found out he had used it to pay for his ceremony. I was in disbelief when he said it, and the more he explained the more I wanted to cry. He didn't even apologize, he said it with all causality of, "Oh, you were looking for that thing you left in the fridge. Sorry, I ate it." When he realized that I was upset he turned it around on me and told me that I was being selfish and that I was not entitled to his money. Luckily, got scholarship that covered my entire tuition. Also, my mom and stepdad also had a fund set aside for me. They apparently knew my dad would pull that on me, so I was able to go to college without a lot of debt. Since then I've been distant from my dad. I'll not lie, I feel conned. If the money was always his, why did he bother mentioning it to me? I don't care if he used it or not, but to promise someone something, hold it over their heads for years, and not give it to them when you should because they're not entitled to it, is just a way too lengthy way to say that you're an unreliable ass in my eyes. My dad has tried to reconcile, but he still claims that I was not entitled to that money and even says that the money was not needed because I got a scholarship. The last time he said that to me was when I was at his house, visiting my new baby brother, and I got so damn annoyed that I said, "I'm not entitled to your money, but you're also not entitled to a relationship with me, so I guess we're in a stalemate here." I guess that hurt him because he got quiet until I left. I've been remembering what I said for a while, so I wonder if I was way too out of line in my statement. I was annoyed and wanted him to stop bringing it up, but I didn't want to hurt him. Not the asshole. 1. He was the one who brought it up and gave you the expectation. 2. Your mom already knew he would pull something like this. 3. He was an unfit parent based on your representation of him. He is an $dollar who is trying to gaslight you into thinking you're the entitled one, especially when he spent it on a ceremony that was one day. Not the asshole at all. He had a tuition fund that he told you would be yours, then turned around and wasted it. Sure, you don't have a legal right to it. I don't know for certain what the law is where you are, but here it's his money, but that doesn't mean he's not the asshole for doubling back on his promise. Cut him out, you don't owe him anything. He keeps bringing it up. Okay, wow, you have been way more patient with him than I would have been. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Dad mostly ignored the op for years during their infrequent visits, preferring to play video games he could have been playing when he didn't have custody. Dad can certainly get remarried. That is not a free pass to walk away from promises he made his kid for years. Op mentioned being able to attend college without a lot of debt, which seems to indicate there was some debt. Breaking your promise and sticking your kid with debt as a result is real asshole behavior. Dad doesn't get to shit on your relationship for years and then expect to maintain a good relationship with you. Standing up for yourself at last was entirely reasonable. Not the asshole he made a verbal contract with you and ignored it. He should have told you that he was using that money. He should have at least apologized for not telling you the deal was off, at least. Parents will gloat in various degrees about their kids' achievements, sometimes rightly so. Make sure he doesn't take any credit. Not the asshole. Your father made promises and then never lived up to them. It sounds like if he had never mentioned the money it wouldn't have been an issue, so that's on him. No one is entitled to treat someone else poorly, friends or family. So if you don't want a relationship with him then you don't have to have one. Not the asshole. He wasn't required to set you up a college fund, but once he out and out told you he did, it wasn't out of line for you to count on it. Not the asshole. Your dad said he had a college fund set up for you if you did well and got good grades. You fulfilled your side of that bargain. He didn't. Instead, he decided that one day of his life was more important than your education. So he shouldn't be surprised that someone with whom he had broken his word would want a relationship with him. He proved he can't be trusted. Personally, I think you handled it quite well. You are both correct. You weren't legally entitled to his money, although he shouldn't have made that deal with you the first place, and he isn't entitled to a relationship with you. His wife better not let him have any access to the new baby's college fund. Wonder if she knew where extra funds came from. Not the arsehole. Not the arsehole. Your dad is an arsehole. The shitty visits, the money, all of it. Fuck him. NTA and kudos to you for saying something so witty in a stressful situation. And you were 100% right, which is why it hurt him. Don't feel bad, he made his choices. His wedding was more important than your schooling to him. He's gaslighting you hard. He set that money aside for you, told you it was yours if you kept your grades up, then spent it on himself and had no plans of telling you or making up for it as best he could later. And now accuses you of acting entitled for believing his prior promise, keeping up your end of the bargain and trusting he'd deliver on his. Believing that someone would keep their word isn't being entitled. It's not just the money. If he'd been poor as dirt but loved you with all he had, you two would have a relationship today. It's the lack of interest in your life, the lies, the betrayal of trust that's why you don't have a relationship right now. Not the arsehole. Not the arsehole. My mom and stepdad pulled this stunt on me. I got straight A's, did sports and other extracurriculars, all the hoops. Pulled the rug out from under me as I was getting college acceptances. I ultimately ended up going LC and finally NC because of that, compounded with a lot of other stuff. No regrets. He basically taunted the money in your face, not the arsehole. Not the arsehole. Anybody would feel conned in that situation. Sorry, he doesn't sound like dad material. Not the arsehole. Even before you got to the part about the college fund, I saw reason for him to not deserve a relationship with you. He ignored you on the few days a month he got to spend time with you. He chose not to have a relationship with you when he decided to play video games over time with his daughter. Not the arsehole, and good for you. A promise is a promise and you trusted the man who is supposed to be your dad. I'm so sorry, sad face. Your dad can eat glass. He ruined the relationship himself. He never cared about you. Not the arsehole. Not the arsehole. I'm sorry your speed donor was such a jerk. You sound very level-headed and have a good grasp of terrible people. I'd be willing to be stepmom sees how he treats you and will hopefully take steps to protect your sibling. Not the arsehole. Of course you aren't entitled to his money, but he told you it would be yours. To spend it on a wedding of all things is a real punch in the face. He seems petty, and was clearly an essentially absent father for most of your life. If you want to cut him off, that would be totally understandable. However, if you do want to have a relationship, or a relationship with your new brother, you need to get past this. Not the arsehole. You're right. He's not. He neglected you throughout your childhood. There was no guarantee that you would get a scholarship. He doesn't get to reap the benefits of being your father when he literally refused to be a father to you for years. He hurt you and he doesn't even seem truly sorry for what he did. So he deserved to be called out for it. Not the arsehole. Nope, he deserves to be hurt. Not the arsehole. It's really good that you're not taking out the deserved anger at your dad on your new sibling and are making an effort to get to know them. Please just ignore your dad and keep being a big sis, because your dad is going to pull the same shit on that kid and having you will be invaluable. Not the arsehole. If he never planned on giving you the money, all he had to do was not mention it to you and he wouldn't have created that expectation in the first place. Your story is close to home. A similar thing happened to my husband. From what I see, you're not hurt that the money is gone, but that your father doesn't see you as a priority in his life. I wish that I can tell you that one day he will see you point of view and ask forgiveness, but I can't. You have nothing to feel guilty about, and it sounds like you learned the lesson he was trying to teach you. He is not someone you can depend on. Live your best life, and if you can forgive him, but only give him what you are able to. Don't give in to guilt if you have nothing to give him. Be kind to yourself. NTA. And if his new wife knew about his promise of tuition, she is a dick too. Not the arsehole. He was never there to begin with. You're not losing a connection, you're just making it clear there never was one. Hope you have a great time in college. Not the arsehole. My dad pulled something similar, promising financial support and then completely flipping it on me, lol. As you can imagine, it's been 5 years and I have had maybe 6 conversations with him. Don't let it get to you and don't feel guilty. The adults should know the consequences of their actions. Technically he is right, the money was his. Ethically and humanely he was so far from right one can see the other on a line. He used that fund as a con, don't be conned again. Not the arsehole. Damn, a real-life Scott's Tots situation. Not the arsehole, and good for you for being honest and setting boundaries. Just to be clear, he is not trying to reconcile. He is trying to make excuses. Those are very different. There is a difference between apologizing and telling someone not to be mad. To me, the way he tries to completely dismisses your right to even have feelings is almost as bad as the actual money. He made promises he didn't want to keep and then tries to force you to forgive him. He's a huge arsehole here. NTA. Not the arsehole. Your dad is. Why bother with a relationship with someone who lies, makes excuses for it, is unreliable, untrustworthy and If this were me, I would just go no contact and move on. Wow, such shiny boots to hit tiny nuts with. And such good aim. Does your dad now squeak when he speaks? Not the arsehole. Not the arsehole. At the least, your dad lied to you. He told you that fund was for your college if you got good grades and you did. He didn't say he might have to use it for other things. He took the money for his own selfish purposes and tries to blame you for his selfishness. You had every right to say what you said to him and to not want a relationship with him. Not the arsehole. Your dad doesn't seem to care about being a real dad to you and seems more occupied with himself. He made a promise not because he cared about your education but to make you feel obligated to stay connected with him, and now he's angry that he can't keep doing that. Not the arsehole. This is less about money or more about how he treated his daughter. I try to at least reconcile, but I also wouldn't open myself up to damage again. Not the arsehole. Your dad sucks. No, I'm not entitled to your money. However, I am entitled to my completely logical reaction to a deep and ongoing lie which lasted for years. You are also not entitled to someone having a good opinion of you when you have been an ass to them for so long. The ship of your bullshit has sailed, and you can't get it back, so I can only advise you not to be such an atrocious parent to your new kid, and maybe they won't react to you like this in 20+ years. Not the arsehole. It's true, it's not just the broken promise, which I think is the majority of the problem. It's also that he used it to make you think well of him during the years before he married his wife. It's very manipulative. Frankly, you can't trust him to do jack shit. That's not what he wants to do. Your father chose to have a fun party with the wife to make sure he got a sweet honeymoon over his promise to his child. Don't make him make you forget that. I said this exact thing to my mother last November. She's always been narcissistic and plays victim. She let my stepdads, yes with an S, two of them, beat the hell out of me for years. I moved out at 16. She married another guy who emotionally abused my sister for years. She moved in with me at 16. Last year she did something else that just set me off and I told her I was done with her. She said, "But I'm your mother," to which I replied, "And no one, including you, is entitled access to me." Sorry, my point is, you're right. He wasn't a great father. He lied. He was unreliable. And he's not entitled access to you. Not the arsehole. Your dad has a right to spend his money however he wants, but it really was an asshole move on his part to say, "I've got this plan for you," and then surprise you with, "Oops, never mind," at the last second. Also, your dad didn't know for a fact you would get scholarships until after he spent the money. He took a gamble knowing that the outcome wasn't certain. Not the arsehole. He gaslighted you regarding something he had continuously mentioned, promised over the years, and had the audacity to insult you in the process. There's some chicken and egg here. It's unclear whether he was neglectful during her childhood visits because he was angry about the custody results or whether the results were because of his neglectful habits. Not the arsehole either way. Not the arsehole. It's been almost 10 years and he still brings it up. Sounds like he knows he fucked up but he wants you to say it's okay so his conscience is clear. But why should you? If he never apologized, he's not sorry. There's a lot more going on than money. I'm sure the money is the surface issue but the underlying ones are what's hurting you more. Not the arsehole. Your dad was selfish and uncaring even before he blew your college fund on that vanity parade he calls a wedding. That was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Parents set the tone for the relationship they have with their children in the future. If they ignore their children, and put their own wants over their children's needs, they don't get to be surprised when those children grow up and ignore them right back. Your dad is getting exactly the relationship with you that he fostered, which is to say not much of one at all. Not the arsehole at all. Don't promise your kid something you can't provide. It's parenting 101. One of the top rules that any good parent knows. He is unreliable, and he proved that to you. He wanted to play the good parent, but when it came down to it, he was selfish. It's one thing if a parent falls on hard times and has to use savings for their child to support themselves, but he used it on an extravagant and unnecessary wedding. It may be his money, but that certainly doesn't stop him from being the arsehole in this situation. Not the arsehole. Your dad destroyed more than your fund, not prioritizing you. Not the arsehole. You said exactly what he needed to hear. Not the arsehole. What a manipulative person. You said nothing that isn't true. Not the arsehole. You hit him with the 1-2 punch of truth, which is why he went quiet.